east coast of Scotland. The FINDHORN spiritual community has for more than 40 years provided a haven for alternative ways of living.
This energy was just running around where we were, and identified it as pixies.
They believe they're helped along by guardian angels.
You know, I can ask my guardian angel just to become present. Yes, so he comes in and there he is.
And ran holidays to help bring joy into family life.
Have you had a nice time?
No. They hated it!
That's rubbish.
People are supposed to live in harmony with nature.
It's a very dangerous thing to do, to cut a tree around here.
But it's not all peace and love.
Goodness gracious, have you written a vow? No, we can't get illegally married, that's it. End of the story.
So what makes FINDHORN one of the most successful alternative communities in the world? At 6:30 every morning, people are encouraged to meditate. And at 8:30 to join in sacred singing in one of the community sanctuaries. Leading the singers is Geoffrey Colwill, the financial manager of the FINDHORN Foundation.
We have songs from every tradition, from Islam and Christianity and earthy sort of shamanistic songs. It takes me to a space which is really relaxed and peaceful, and I can connect with my deeper self.
In 1996, Geoffrey came to FINDHORN for a 2-week visit. He liked it so much he came back, bought a house, and this week he's getting married.
What holds us back from being the best facilitators we can be?
Geoffrey's part of the FINDHORN Foundation's 10-strong management team, which looks after the working community and spiritual education. They teach self-sufficiency, ecological living and service to the God within. Their spirituality is based on the beliefs of 3 original founders. In 1962, Eileen, Caddy and her late husband arrived in FINDHORN in a caravan. She claimed she received guidance from God that they should live there.
We were guided to come here. We were asked to come and live in this dump of a place. And we bought our caravan, and that's where we lived for 7 years.
And their friend, Dorothy Maclean, discovered she could talk to the plants.
We can communicate with the plant and explain to it as if it were a conscious, intelligent human person that why we're doing it, what we want to do, and ask for its cooperation.
Between them, they built a community and grew famous for growing enormous vegetables. Today, community members still grow their own vegetables, and in return for work, they get £200 a month and free board and lodgings. Visitors must pay, but like the members, they must also join a work department and take part in cooking, cleaning and manual labour. Erin McNamara, 19, is on a staff training programme. She's paying to be at FINDHORN and works in the maintenance department. At 16, she left home, dropped out of school, and plans to stay in FINDHORN to learn a new way of life.
I pay for going to school. This is how I justify it for myself. There are times when it feels a little bit ridiculous, but at the same time, it's not that I'm just working. It's like every work shift that I do, I'm being supported in an environment where we're all learning together I feel, a different way to work. You know, and how to work with love, you know, how to demolish the caravan with love.
But to become a permanent member takes time. After a week-long initiation, newcomers must live in the community for at least a year. Michael Mitten, who was born in FINDHORN, now looks after guests in the maintenance department.
You are practically working full-time. You're working like 8 shifts a week. But the expectations of exactly how much work output you're going to have is minimal, in the sense that we really just expect you to enjoy the FINDHORN energy, enjoy the different way we have of doing things here, the way that we try to do things with just a more loving, relaxed way and still get things done at the end of the day.
It's an incredible opportunity. To me, FINDHORN is, you know, it's like no place else on the planet, and for me to be able to be here, you know, is so exciting. And, you know, it's like I'm part of something that is incredible.
Okay, now do be careful.
In the community centre, Kit Hutchinson heads up the cleaning department. She came for a spiritual holiday and never left.
I'll use the stuff in there, you can use this one.
Okay.
What is it? Oh, nice. I only intended to stay 12 weeks, but kind of got a bit carried away, and it's now 18 months later and I haven't gone. I keep thinking I'm going to leave every 6 months. Oh, I'll leave and I'll go away and get some money and, you know, but I never get that far. I actually got to leaving once. I even packed my car ready to go 2 hours before I left. I managed to injure myself and be on crutches for 3 weeks, so I had to stay. But, yeah, it just feels like the right thing to do to be here now, so I'm going to stay until I feel like it's time to leave.
Now 25, she's 3 months from becoming a permanent staff member, but she feels she's an overqualified cleaner.
I did a bachelor's degree in History of Art and English Studies, and then I did a postgraduate degree at Edinburgh in History of Arts. Young and MIT. So I don't really do much to do with my degrees at the moment. I quite like cleaning toilets because nobody else likes doing it, and I generally know that people have been using them.
Kit's also trying to find ways of encouraging young people to come to FINDHORN. Along with her friend Steve, she's taking a group of visiting teenagers to the woods to talk to the nature spirits.
But I invite you to close your eyes now.
In the FINDHORN community in the northeast of Scotland, many believe they can communicate with plants, and some claim to have experiences with fairies, pixies and elves. Kit and Steve are visiting the woods to connect with the nature spirits.
I'm going. The veil is very thin here, so it's easier to connect with nature or nature spirits or feel the energies here. It's not just this third dimensional reality and stuff, there's so much more to it. A friend of ours told us where a fairy wood was, and I ended up walking into this little tiny fairy wood on my own, and I could just tell the difference, that was where these fairies were.
But not everyone in FINDHORN believes in fairies.
Like, I love being in nature and I love kind of spending time just being by myself and stuff like that, but I don't know, the idea of nature spirits and devas and fairies and that kind of thing, it's not really where my passion is. I think maybe it's because I just haven't experienced anything, so I don't know really, it's not really my cup of tea, to be honest.
Steve, an ex-London club DJ, believes he's communicated with trees.
I was walking past this tree, and I walked past a twig, and I stopped and I had this sense to pick up this twig, which sounds really ridiculous, but and I just sort of picked it up and I was asking, like, okay, what am I supposed to be doing? And it didn't really say anything, so I put it down and I started to walk off again, and then it was like I was being pulled back And so I picked the twig up again and I was like, okay, what have you got to tell me? And it wasn't doing anything. And then I just looked around and there was a tree there, and I went over to the tree and realised it wasn't the stick, it was the tree that was calling me. And just, yeah, gave the tree a hug, tree hugging. My energy came out into the tree and filled the tree, and the tree's energy came into me and filled me up. And then sort of it all opened and just became like one thing. So I went into another different state and was just one with this tree.
What I do feel is like if certain pieces of land or certain areas or certain landscapes have different atmospheres, and that affects the way I feel. So that's the kind of thing that I tap into more than kind of feeling individual energies for different trees or different plants or whatever.
Simply walking through the woods, Steve claims he's powerfully affected by mysterious energies.
So I feel different energy now. I feel like off my head. Whereas from being in there, as soon as I walk into this space, I feel... Okay, I'm still finding the language to explain this stuff, but like my head's tingling and my hands are tingling. I feel like the top of my head's starting to come off. Oh my god. Yeah, so I wasn't expecting that. My vision's gone even more funny now. I suppose it's a sense of like real euphoria or something. I don't like that word, but like ecstatic. It's an ecstatic state I feel in now. It's like from here, a sense of just pure love, I suppose. That's what it's like.
Also feeling pure love are Geoffrey and his wife-to-be Maira from Spain. They have less than a week until their wedding. They met in FINDHORN 4 years ago and decided to settle down in the community.
Oh my god, I didn't see that.
Today they're cooking up wedding plans with their friends Deborah and Carl, who also had a FINDHORN wedding.
Okay, so what's the outline of your wedding day?
So I had to have certain ingredients.
Have you thought about it?
Goodness, really,
Ad nauseum.
for me it has to have, what does it mean for me to get married, and why do we choose to get married, and why do I choose Geoffrey to get married with?
Because they also keep asking you that question, why are you marrying Geoffrey?
No, they don't. I need to explain that very clearly to everybody so that they don't put me in a box that I don't belong.
What's the box that you're worried about being in?
And like, you know, things like forever, and if you don't keep marriage until you die, you're a failure, or committed, you know, kind of, I don't know.
Well, exclusivity too.
Exclusivity, you know, things that are important for me. I want it to be the way I want it to be. You know, and for that I'm going to make a very clear statement.
Maira is determined to write her own wedding service.
So tell us about the vows.
I look at this little poem. It goes, Geoffrey, I promise to love you always, to keep on loving you when I don't feel very loving, to love you even if we separate, because love is the biggest teacher and the only lesson.
That's nice.
Deborah and Carl married 11 years ago.
Each year on our wedding anniversary we take off our rings and we give them back to each other. And it's been brilliant.
So if you're wearing it all throughout the year and I take it off, and then it feels odd to not have it on.
And then when we put them on again, we re-say our vows to each other, which is amazing because we don't actually have them written down anywhere. So
that's why I say it's our memory of them, because they might have changed.
But our memory is to say, in the spirit of love, trust, unity, and celebration, I honour our relationship as a pathway to God.
This is beautiful.
So that's what we said.
Choose to marry you for another year.
Figuring what to do with her life is what drove 19-year-old Erin to find FINDHORN.
I was so unhappy. Waking up in the morning was one of the most miserable things ever. The pressure to, grow up and figure out what you want to do, and don't take drugs, and, hey, take drugs, and, just this incredible amount of kind of conflicting forces and influences and advice, and living here actively encouraged to figure out, who the hell I am and what I'm actually doing, on this planet. And of course, I have struggles of, am I just wasting my time, and, should I go out and find a real job and, somewhere to live and get on with my life? But at the same time, it's like deep inside of myself, in my heart and in my soul, I know that being here is right for me right now.
Right now, she has to help maintenance man Michael and Kit to move a caravan.
I'm really excited. I hope it works.
They're preparing the old caravan to be towed to the sand dunes as a new youth centre for the summer.
Teenagers in the community want a space that they can use after 10 o'clock in the evening, so that they can play basketball and have music and whatever.
Look for wires.
Look for wires.
Give them a good yank, they're probably going to come up there, so old. Did you cut it?
That one? Yep. Is that okay?
Well, I think it may be a telephone cable.
Despite cutting a community telephone line, Erin has bigger worries.
Oh, shit. Oh, I'm sorry, dude.
She sliced through the root of a tree.
The root? It's like it's a tree root.
In FINDHORN, they respect nature and believe they can talk to the plants.
I was apologizing to the tree, whose root I have just sliced a little bit with the spade. Well, one of the key things that we talk about here at FINDHORN is co-creation with nature and cooperation with kind of everything. And so to integrate into my work an awareness of the other beings around, like the tree that I've just hit, and to just kind of keep that conscious and to remember that I am in relationship with everything in my environment. So yeah, it's nice to just, kind of, make a little apology.
You think the tree hears you?
Yeah, I think that when I put out a message, basically when I put out a vibration, which in this case is the vibration of, oh man, I'm really sorry, I didn't mean to do that, I love you, tree.
The old caravan, called Heather, is so old and heavy she may fall apart if moved. But Michael believes in the power of positive thought.
Nice one, dude. Okay.
Never imagine anything other than that which you wish to come to pass, As soon as you start splitting your imagination, as soon as you start worrying about what could possibly happen, you're making the universe's task a little bit harder because it's not sure what you really want to happen. When you're split in two minds about something, how can the universe help you? Because the universe doesn't know how to help you. The universe doesn't know how or what you want to happen. So in this particular instance, all I'm thinking is positive thoughts.
This is where the lady lived, where it all started.
Oh, what a nice way to see it.
Yeah.
Visiting the original founders' caravan are the Rousseau family from Hampshire.
They are
It's very, very beautiful.
David and Christina Rousseau and their 3 children chose FINDHORN for their annual holiday.
It's just
It's
beautiful,
very, very lovely, isn't it? It's beautiful. I mean, I've been working away from home quite a lot, and I felt that I wanted to really do something with the family, and I don't know why. I just phoned up one day and got their brochure, and then I saw this thing called the Creating Joyful Families Week, and I guess we kind of felt, well, why not? Let's give it a try. And to a certain extent, I felt that it kind of really wasn't for me. I thought it might be a bit really, really alternative, but I don't know whether the idea just...
Too wacky.
Yeah.
Creating Joy as Families is a week-long workshop. But first, they've come to check out where FINDHORN families live.
These are the barrel houses.
Oh wow, look at these.
Hello.
Do you know what they made these houses from?
Barrels.
They're not actually barrels. They're like these great big vats where they make whiskey and
Whiskey.
Whiskey.
But I think this is really nice. I must admit, I had in my mind that the whole of FINDHORN was going to be like this, actually. Treading on some sort of sacred ground somehow.
The community's latest building project is to replace their ageing caravans with state-of-the-art eco-houses.
That doesn't look so different to quite a traditional little new Swedish village at the building, does
No,
it?
like a little summer holiday village.
Yeah.
Christina Rousseau is taken by the idea of living in the community.
Could you live in one of these houses up here for a year?
Live in the houses.
I mean, to live here would be fantastic.
Well, I don't know. House is a house, isn't it? But it depends what the community is.
For David, the prospect of even a single week in FINDHORN is beginning to worry him. Back at the youth caravan, Michael and Kit have persuaded a local farmer to help them. But they've hit a serious problem. Heather, the caravan, is stuck on a tree.
So how much are we going to need to cut off?
Just take it back to... I suppose somebody will complain about that, won't they? Might get problems. It's a very dangerous thing to do, to cut a tree around here. I've seen us pulling them back with a tractor, you know, and pulling the whole tree so that the caravan gets out without cutting the tree.
But the prospect of chopping the tree down doesn't seem to bother Kit.
We could possibly, if we cut more of the tree off, we could get the caravan over,
Okay.
cut the tree off first and see what we can do.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay. We'll take this off, I think, and just move our tractor over.
In FINDHORN, it's okay to cut down a tree, as long as you ask it first.
I always ask permission. I think I did.
The chainsaw is pretty hardcore. You know, just given how kind of tenderly we've been working around all the plants. That then, you know, Ed just comes in with a chainsaw and, you know, like the tree made a sacrifice. And I think that we had a lot of support from, you know, from nature, really.
I think the tree was very happy to help.
So with some selfless help from the tree, Heather, the new youth centre, is ready for business. In the FINDHORN Bay, financial manager Geoffrey Colwill has organised his own stag night. A trip in a boat and a barbecue with his mates. But there's not a drop to drink, and no one's organised a stripper. And despite the rain, Geoffrey's still ready for some male bonding.
I just feel really nurtured, I suppose, by other men. My partner is off having her hen night, and yeah, just spending the whole night having a pajama party with her girlfriends. So this feels like blokey stuff, I suppose. Yeah.
Geoffrey's wife-to-be is Maira, originally from Spain. For a hen night, she's arranged a meditation with her mum, sister and girlfriends.
In Spanish we call it the goodbye to the single woman or something like this. I think it's basically an opportunity to be my women friend and to nourish this role of feminine that I mainly play in my relationship with Geoffrey.
And after meditating, some belly dancing. Geoffrey and Maira are also planning an alternative wedding, FINDHORN style.
really.
Kit Hutchinson came to Findhorn in the northeast of Scotland for a spiritual holiday. She ended up staying and now works in the cleaning department. Today she's making a rare trip back to England to visit her family. She hasn't seen her mum and 2 brothers for almost a year.
It's been 8 months. She might as well have been out of Mongolia, really. But yeah, it's just wonderful. I love her to bits. She's looking good too.
Kit's mum visited Findhorn 15 years ago and sends all of her children to experience another side to life.
Blessings on our time together.
Wow.
My pleasure.
People say to me, you know, when are your children going to get decent jobs, or when are they going to stop being layabouts? You know, what is a proper job? A proper job is doing something, you know, maybe working, helping people. You know, is that not a proper job? Cleaning loos and digging ditches and things like that. You know, you're helping people, you're part of a community, you're doing something really important.
But it doesn't have good status, I don't have a company car. I like making beds and cleaning lavatories and hoovering, and to me it's about finding ways of living in normal society but with a deeper sense of, you know, whatever, integrity and honesty and learning how to communicate properly. And
I think living in this present moment is important, and if you're actually doing something you enjoy and you're helping other people, then that can't be bad.
I get the impression that it's completely cut off from almost like the rest of the world, and that it's, you know, and that's good. It's just like this little haven.
Listen, we need to clear the table, you guys, okay? Can you help me, Charlie, please?
What I learned sort of lives on with them, because I see that they start to connect in the same way that I did, and it's very interesting to see how it's sort of organically growing in them too.
Next in line for the Findhorn treatment is youngest son, 15-year-old Charlie. He's going back to the community with Kit for a special Findhorn initiation week.
I'm really looking forward to going up to the foundation. You know, because all my family's been there before, it's quite a big thing. You know, I've been looking forward to it.
Back in Findhorn, Erin's visiting her parents. They lived in the community in the 70s and have come back to join their daughter.
This is where they met and got married and had my older brother. So we have some serious kind of history here. And yeah, they loved it and they've missed it. So they've done the sensible thing, which is to stop looking for Findhorn elsewhere and come home.
Erin's family are paying for her alternative education.
Good-o.
Although she dropped out of traditional education, for Erin's parents, Findhorn is a school of life.
As far as your course expenses, those have come out of what we've always been calling your college fund. And that feels really right. You know, if this is the forum that is best for you for your higher education at this point, this is great. And certainly you've been using it as, you know, as higher learning.
I think it's a lot better to use the money for this than to spend the first 2 years in college getting loaded every weekend and
failing classes.
Right, because you don't know what else you're doing.
Well, that's how I justify it to myself, because my friends ask, what the hell are you doing paying £100 a month to work your ass off for these people? And it's like, well, you know, I'm getting my education. I'm here and I work, but, you know, I'm learning more than I possibly could in any university, honestly.
So to hear you say that is really, really, really wonderful. It's about work and it's about service, and it's not about yourself, and it's not about just getting what you need to be happy or your own growth. That it's about serving the planet, that's what Findhorn's about, that's what its goal is. It's the kind of foundation of learning that when and if you do decide to go to university, you'll be in an entirely different category. I mean, you'll know yourself so well, and you'll know about the world so well.
Erin has no plans to go back to traditional education. She wants to become a full-time staff member at FINDHORN. So today she must go to a special meditation or attunement to decide which work department she should spend the next 6 months in.
I'm tempted to just choose maintenance. Of course, the whole attunement process is about releasing that desire. Right? So, you know, I want to work in maintenance, but what I want isn't necessarily going to be what I need or what's right now.
In FINDHORN, a meditation or attunement is used to make important decisions. They believe that if they're still and quiet, their God will tell them what to do. After 3 hours of group discussions and meditation, Erin's found the answer. She's going to work in maintenance.
A part of me is thinking, why did I even need to go to the attunement, given that I already knew I was going to be in maintenance, and that would work out wonderfully, and that nobody else wanted to be in maintenance. You know, and there's this whole kind of involved, in-depth, very intense process, and I come out the other side of it with exactly the same thing as I went in with. So I, you know, kind of feeling a little bit like, could have just skipped that and been in the same place.
Creating Joyous Families is a week-long workshop run by the FINDHORN Foundation. David Rousseau, his wife Christina and their 3 children came with the hope of making their family joyous. It's about breaking down barriers and building confidence. After working away from home, David realised he needed to spend some quality time with his family. They've been asked to draw a picture to describe their role in the family unit.
Hill all the way around and green.
David sees himself as a big, strong, protective tree.
Does anybody mind if I drew a great big oak tree and for you to be all underneath it?
No, you're just going to have to draw it.
Yeah, fine. Then I'm going to draw a great big oak tree here.
I'm not being underneath it.
This old oak tree is leaning right over the lake. It's created a really, really beautiful shady space. Can I draw you under the oak tree, Christina?
I mean, I would like to live in a cave, actually.
I wanted you under my oak tree.
Daddy, I can live under that's not where I'm going to be.
Okay.
I want to live in a houseboat.
I kind of drew the tree first of all because I sort of felt, well, I wanted to be a tree, this sort of like big sort of solid tree. And I had this vision that I was going to have all my family as nice little fish all swimming around underneath the tree, and that would have been my ideal picture. But I started to get a bit grumpy because they didn't want to be there. They all wanted to be doing other things.
Yeah.
And I started to feel a little bit sort of left out.
But I think it is indicative of how our life has been, that you've been away and your need to actually keep the family together when you come back. Whereas for me, I've been at home, you know, with the children. So for me, it's been such a delight in seeing them doing all their different things.
Completely, it was too cold. We had like little dogs.
I mean, you could have conflict about some of these issues in a normal environment. I don't know.
Charlie Hutchinson, Kit's brother, is also spending the week out of his normal environment.
For me, I find that FINDHORN is all about the combining of sort of spirituality as well as just living an everyday life. It's a lot more spiritual than I thought it would be, a lot more intense than I thought it would be, but also it's at the same time, if this makes any sense, it's a lot more sort of everyone is so much more open and friendly and, you know, open to new people really coming in than I expected.
Tonight, at the community college, Charlie is going to find out how to find his guardian angel.
Down, 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 till underneath your feet.
His tutor, Christiane, teaches spiritual practices at FINDHORN.
And as you consider the space, you will be imagining gold particles in suspension in the air in the space in front of you. The gold particles enter your nostrils. They stroke the little hair. Breathe in the gold. Follow it down your throat and into your lungs. We totally repress this idea of a guardian angel because we have, like, you know, our rational mind, and it sounds like pretty weird, and it could even be like a bit schizophrenic, you know, to have like another personality around us. From your heart, you ask your guardian angel, can you give me your name? It ends up being very practical because with a name, afterwards, it's possible to call. Just having a different tool to act upon my reality rather than entering a state of depression where I think I'm alone and I have no means to change my situation. And after that, you will lift your arms and give yourself a hug. Give yourself a good time. Yes. Oh.
For me, the term guardian angel, I don't really like the term. It sounds a bit sort of wafty, a bit odd, really. A lot of it, I think, is about protection and feeling safe, and being confident about wherever you are, and trust in yourself. So yeah, in that respect, I do feel I came closer to becoming more confident with myself.
This is going to be the cleanest sinks ever.
After the trip home and a week with her brother, Kit is reconsidering her life in FINDHORN.
Being here can be very safe and very comfortable and cosy, and sometimes I forget that there's actually a world out there and there are people and amazing countries to visit, and I'm just kind of itchy. I've got itchy feet now.
And after Charlie leaves, Kit's decided she's had enough.
I really just want a breath of fresh air this week. I just want some space.
First, she's taking a week off to get out of the community.
I'm hoping to get some clarity, so that when my intention is that when I come back, I'll know what I want to do, and I'll decide whether I want to stay or whether I'm going to go. It feels like, oh God!
But in the end, Kit decided once again to return to FINDHORN. With less than 24 hours until their wedding, Maira and Geoffrey are meeting the man who'll marry them, the Celebrant.
Engraving, yeah.
That's right.
They're just polished. Don't touch them.
That one, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And it fits.
It's been important to Maira that she writes her own vows.
I'm saying that, the reason why I choose you is not because I love you.
Okay.
Love should be the basis for your life, not for your relationship.
I'm happy for you to say that. I just would like to actually have somewhere you stating that you do love me.
Goodness gracious, have you read the vow?
Yeah, no, but here.
I love you.
Despite the declaration of love, the vows also include the prospect that their marriage may not last forever.
Even though I love Geoffrey, love is not the reason, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Are you getting married with the expectation that at some time you will separate and go your own way?
I don't have the expectation that we will separate, and I don't have the expectation or the hope or the wish that we keep together all our lives.
I'm being amused, I'm sorry. It's kind of novel, but the caricature of marriage is that it's the man who wants to feel like this, and the woman who doesn't want the man to even think things like that.
Yeah.
And you're reversing the whole thing, and I suppose that's great, you know.
You know, for me, if we do separate, this is not a signal of failure. You know, this is really how I experience it. This is a commitment in the now, and I don't know. Yeah.
But Ken, the celebrant, has a problem. The vows are not legal.
Marriage in Scotland is marriage for life. You can't legally enter into a relationship which already has an escape clause and call it marriage.
Maybe we can't get legally married, that's it. End of the story. Because we're not complying with that.
It's the day of Maira and Geoffrey's wedding. After reconsidering the benefits of a legal marriage, they've agreed to change their vows.
In Scotland, marriage is looked at as a long life commitment, and we are very conscious that we love each other now and we can see each other sharing a lifetime together.
I felt an integrity in us making it a legal marriage.
Yeah.
Because I feel that the depth of our commitment is very deep.
And for me it was mainly because I think, because we want to have kids. We're working so far away from each other.
Soon, Erin McNamara will become a full-time member of staff in the FINDHORN community.
It's been a long day. I'm still settling into the whole full-time work thing. And like I wake up most mornings and I'm like, oh shit, I have to work again today? It's just, I have a lot of stuff in my life, you know, people and things I need to do.
The next thing Erin needs to do is take a well-earned break and visit her newfound love in the community shop.
I don't usually get to hold your hand while you do the job.
Ruth, 18, originally from Derbyshire, now lives in FINDHORN.
They're just down the road.
Yeah. I was
Wow. The Rousseaus from Hampshire are preparing to leave. Their joyous family week is almost over.
Well, don't you? We need to ask Adam's mum whether he wants to buy that first of all. That didgeridoo. That's a good thing, yeah. I'd be really chuffed for you to have that in your bedroom, Oscar. That'd be really nice in the evening for you to give that a good old blow before I go to bed. Can't get that one.
On his last night, David Rousseau has been covered in messages of love.
Oh, I've got one in my pocket here, so I can read that one. That's the bill. This one says, dedication to family and protectiveness for their growth. So we just tried to really say what we'd appreciate about each other during the week. So, might take one in for my boss when I get back.
Don't know how big the
Christina Rousseau is pleased that her husband has seen another side to FINDHORN.
I think for Dave there was kind of a new experience, and he really has changed. He really has changed. And I don't think he'll take the mickey out of it anymore.
I've been quite amazed with what's come out of it, and quite amazed about how much I've got from it. So it's been a really positive experience. I wouldn't say that I'm ready to give up everything else and live here, but perhaps what I would be prepared to do is to take a little bit of some of the qualities that I see here and take them back into the life that I live.
Christina has also found something special to take home.
A lovely souvenir.
Just a beautiful rock that we found on the river, on the banks of the river FINDHORN.
Why don't we just leave it here?
Because I think it means something special to Mum.
Yes, it is heavy.
It is absolutely heavy.
And finally, the children have a say on what they thought of their holiday.
I've got a bit of a problem. I lost my shoes here. How have you enjoyed it? Has it been a good holiday?
Been okay.
been okay.
I'd prefer going to the Caribbean, but...
You would prefer to go to the Caribbean, okay? Well, that would have been nice. Ian, have you had a nice time?
The good thing is all these...
You haven't had a nice day. It's rubbish.
Yes, you have.
I think you like the Indian dancing.
No,
as well.
I didn't. I hated it.
Did you?
I
Okay.
kept on saying, Mummy, I don't want to do it.
Yeah, it's not true.
Yes, I did.
Any profound enlightenment?
No.
I'm going to you. Bye. Bye. Take care.
In the community hall, Geoffrey is preparing for his wedding.
Got a note to someone out.
Myra's family have come with her wedding dress from Spain.
That's nice. Oh, you feel so comfortable and fresh. Yummy. Okay.
She's done her own hair and makeup, and there's no need for a limousine. Ken, the wedding's celebrant, believes they came to the right decision to be legally married.
We believe that people are guided by spirit, and that if they are still enough and listen enough, they will find what's right for them.
The wedding starts with a greeting dance.
Four circles. Welcome everyone. It behoves us to start every wedding with a dance. The original dance from the Garden of Eden. Adam and Eve danced this. So nowadays we call it the cross.
Finally, the rewritten vows that will make the wedding legal.
Geoffrey, I commit to love you always and to keep on loving you throughout the years. To love you even when I don't feel very loving, and to honor love even if we feel separate, because love is the great teacher and the only lesson.
Thank you. For Maira, I commit to love you always, to keep on loving you, to still love you when I don't feel loving, to honor love even when we feel separate, because love is the great teacher and the only lesson.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Registrar General of Scotland, I declare that you are husband and wife. You may kiss the bride.
Next in the haven,
love the person in front.
But all is not well in Findhorn.
Sometimes I just want to say, like,
their very future is at stake.
if people are even thinking that we might fall apart when she dies, then she's not been a very good teacher.